Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Code Your English. I am very happy that you are here today. I hope you are doing well, feeling good, and ready to spend some peaceful and meaningful time with me. As always, thank you so much for joining this podcast. Whether you are listening while relaxing at home, walking outside, traveling, studying, or simply taking a break from your busy day, I truly appreciate your time. Today, we are going to talk about something very emotional, very important, and something that almost every person experiences in life. Today's topic is the difference between love and attachment. This is a topic that many people think about, but not everyone fully understands. Sometimes, we feel very strong emotions for someone. We care about them deeply. We think about them every day. We miss them when they are not around. We want to talk to them all the time. But sometimes, a question quietly comes into our minds. Is this really love? Or is this attachment? Have you ever loved someone deeply? Maybe a partner, a friend, a family member, or someone very special in your life? Have you ever felt afraid of losing someone? Have you ever worried that a person may leave you one day? Or maybe you have felt sad, stressed, or emotionally lost when someone became distant from you? If your answer is yes, then please know that you are not alone. Many people experience these feelings, and many people struggle to understand them. The truth is, love and attachment can sometimes feel very similar. Both can feel strong. Both can make us care deeply about someone. Both can make us miss someone when they are not near us. Because of this, many people become confused. They think attachment is love, or sometimes they do not understand what healthy love really feels like. But here is something important to remember. Understanding the difference between love and attachment can help us build healthier, happier, and more peaceful relationships. It can help us understand ourselves better. It can help us feel more emotionally strong and more emotionally free. In today's episode, we are going to explore this topic together in a very simple and easy way. We will talk about what love really means, what attachment means, why people confuse them, and how we can build healthier relationships in our lives. So, sit back, relax, and let us begin this meaningful journey together. What is love? Now, before we talk about attachment, let us first understand something very important. Let us talk about love. This may sound like a simple word, but if we really think about it, love is something very deep and meaningful. Many people talk about love. Many people search for love. And almost everyone wants to feel loved. But sometimes, it can be difficult to explain what love really means. So, let me ask you a simple question. What comes to your mind when you hear the word love? Maybe you think about someone special in your life. Maybe you think about your parents, your husband or wife, your children, your best friend, or someone who has always supported you. Maybe love makes you think of warm memories, kind words, support during difficult times, or someone who stayed beside you when life became hard. In very simple words, love means caring deeply about someone. Love means wanting good things for another person. It means caring about their happiness, their feelings, and their well-being. Love is not only about saying beautiful words. Love is often shown through actions. Sometimes, love is quiet and simple. Sometimes, it appears in small moments that people do not even notice. For example, imagine that someone you care about is feeling sad. They had a difficult day. Maybe they feel stressed or disappointed. if you sit beside them, listen to them, encourage them, and try to make them feel better. That is love. Love says, I care about your feelings. Love says, you are important to me. Love is also respect. Respect means accepting another person as they are. It means listening to their thoughts and understanding that they have feelings, opinions, and dreams too. Real love does not try to control every choice someone makes. Instead, love respects differences. Maybe you do not always agree with someone, but if you truly love them, you still respect their choices and feelings. For example, imagine your friend has a dream to study in another city or another country. Maybe you will miss them very much. Maybe you feel sad because they will be far away. But if you truly care about them, you will still support their dream because you want them to grow and become happy. That is another beautiful part of love. Love wants the other person to grow, even when change feels difficult. Love is also trust. Trust is very important in healthy relationships. Trust means believing in someone. It means not always feeling afraid or suspicious. When love is healthy, it creates a feeling of peace. You do not always feel worried or stressed. Instead, you feel safe, you feel comfortable, you feel respected. Think about a healthy friendship. Maybe you have a friend who always supports you, listens to you, and encourages you. You do not need to pretend to be someone else around them. You feel comfortable being yourself. You can laugh, speak honestly, and share your problems without fear. That peaceful feeling is often part of healthy love. And here is something very important to understand. Love is not only romantic. Many people think love only means a relationship between two people who are dating or married. But love is much bigger than that. Love can exist in many different forms. For example, the love between parents and children can be very strong. A mother or father may work hard every day because they want their children to have a better future. That is love. A friend who supports you when everyone else leaves you, that is love too. A teacher who truly wants their students to succeed can also show love through kindness and care. And there is another kind of love that many people forget to talk about. That is self-love. Yes, loving yourself is also important. Self-love means respecting yourself, caring for yourself, and treating yourself kindly. It means understanding that your feelings matter too. It means giving yourself patience when life feels difficult. Sometimes people are very kind to others, but very hard on themselves. Healthy love also means learning how to care for your own heart. Real love usually feels peaceful, safe, and respectful. Of course, no relationship is perfect. Sometimes people disagree. Sometimes problems happen. But healthy love does not make you feel controlled, trapped, or constantly afraid. Healthy love gives space to breathe. It gives support during difficult times. It helps people become stronger and better. Imagine planting a small tree in a garden. If you give it water, sunlight, care, and time, it slowly grows stronger. In many ways, healthy love is similar. Love helps people grow. It gives encouragement. It gives kindness. It helps people become the best version of themselves. So, if we want to explain love in one simple way, we can say this. Love is care, respect, trust, kindness, support, and wanting another person to be happy. Love does not only think about itself. Love also thinks about the other person. Love says, I care about your happiness. Love says, I want you to grow. Love says, I respect who you are. And understanding this simple idea will help us very much, because in the next part, we are going to talk about attachment. And you may begin to notice that although love and attachment sometimes feel similar, they are actually very different in many important ways. What is attachment? Now that we have talked about love, let us move to something that can sometimes feel very similar to love, but is actually different in many ways. Let us talk about attachment. This is an important part of today's topic because many people confuse love and attachment. Sometimes, what feels like deep love may actually be attachment. And please remember something very important before we begin. If you realize that you feel attachment, this does not mean you are weak, bad, or doing something wrong. You are human. Many people experience attachment in relationships, friendships, and even family connections. So, while listening to this part, please be kind to yourself. In simple words, attachment means becoming emotionally dependent on someone. This means you begin to feel that your happiness, peace, or emotional comfort depends too much on another person. You may feel very connected to them, but at the same time, you may also feel worried, fearful, or emotionally dependent. Sometimes attachment can feel very strong. In fact, attachment can feel so powerful that people think it must be love. You may think about someone all the time. You may miss them deeply. You may want to speak with them every moment. You may feel happy when they give attention to you and sad when they do not. Because the emotions are strong, people often say, "This must be love." But sometimes, those feelings come more from fear and emotional need than from peaceful care. Attachment often comes from things like fear, loneliness, insecurity, or even habit. For example, maybe someone feels afraid of being alone. Maybe they are scared that people will leave them. Maybe they do not feel confident inside themselves, so they depend on another person to feel safe or happy. Sometimes attachment develops slowly, especially when someone becomes used to having a person around all the time. Think about this simple example. Imagine someone does not reply to your message quickly. In healthy love, you may wonder if they are busy, and you continue your day peacefully. But in attachment, the mind may quickly become worried. You may start thinking, why are they not replying? Are they angry? Do they not care anymore? Did I do something wrong? Suddenly, one small thing creates stress and fear. Another example is when someone you care about spends time with other people. Of course, it is normal to miss someone or want their attention sometimes. That is human. But attachment can create a deeper fear. A person may feel worried, jealous, or afraid of being replaced. They may begin thinking, what if they like someone else more than me? Or, what if they stop needing me? These fears can become emotionally exhausting. One of the biggest signs of attachment is the fear of losing someone. A person may begin feeling like they cannot imagine life without the other person. Sometimes they may even say things like, "I cannot live without you," or "My happiness only comes from you." At first, this may sound romantic, but if we think deeply, depending completely on one person for happiness can become very painful and unhealthy. Healthy relationships are important, and people naturally support each other. But when attachment becomes too strong, a person may slowly forget themselves. They may stop enjoying their own hobbies, spending time with friends, or caring for their own goals because their emotional world becomes focused only on one person. And here is something important to understand. Attachment is not always intentional. Most people do not choose it on purpose. It often comes from emotional pain, difficult experiences, loneliness, fear, or simply wanting to feel safe and loved. Sometimes people become attached because they are afraid of being abandoned or forgotten. Sometimes they simply want comfort and emotional security. This is why we should never judge ourselves or others too quickly. Instead of saying, "Something is wrong with me," we can gently ask ourselves, "Why am I feeling this way?" Sometimes understanding our emotions is the first step toward healing and building healthier relationships. So, if we explain attachment in one simple way, we can say this: attachment is a strong emotional dependence on someone, often connected with fear, worry, insecurity, or the feeling that we cannot be happy without them. It can feel very strong, and sometimes it even looks like love. But unlike healthy love, attachment often comes with emotional stress and fear. And now that we understand love and attachment separately, in the next part, we are going to explore something very interesting. Why do love and attachment feel so similar? Because this is where many people become confused, and understanding this can help us see our relationships more clearly. Why love and attachment feel similar? Now, after understanding both love and attachment, you may be thinking about something important. If love and attachment are different, then why do they sometimes feel so similar? Why do so many people confuse one with the other? Well, the answer is actually very simple. Love and attachment can feel similar because both create strong emotions inside us. Both can make us care deeply about another person. Both can make us think about someone often. Both can make us feel happy when they are close and sad when they are far away. Because these feelings feel strong and emotional, it becomes difficult to know what we are really feeling. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever missed someone very much? Maybe you waited for their message. Maybe you smiled when you saw their name on your phone. Maybe you thought about them during the day, or remembered your conversations before sleeping. These feelings can happen in both love and attachment. That is why confusion happens so easily. For example, imagine that someone is very important to you. You enjoy talking to them every day. When they are happy, you feel happy too. When something good happens to them, you feel excited for them. Naturally, you care about them deeply. This can be part of healthy love. But at the same time, attachment can also create strong emotions that feel very similar on the surface. Sometimes attachment feels like love at the beginning because it feels intense. The emotions can be very powerful. You may think about the person all day. You may want their attention all the time. You may feel very emotionally connected to them. At first, this strong emotional feeling can seem beautiful or romantic. Many people think, if my feelings are this strong, then it must be true love. But here is something important to understand. Strong emotions do not always mean healthy love. Sometimes strong emotions can come from emotional need, fear, or insecurity. Sometimes we become attached because a person makes us feel safe, less lonely, or emotionally complete. We may begin needing their attention to feel okay, and slowly, without realizing it, we can confuse emotional need with love. Let us think about a simple example. Imagine you miss someone when they are not around. Missing someone is normal and human. In love, you may miss the person, but you still feel peaceful and trust the relationship. You continue your daily life while looking forward to seeing them again. But in attachment, missing someone may feel heavier. It may come with worry, fear, or emotional stress. You may feel empty without them. You may constantly check your phone, wonder where they are, or feel upset if they are busy. The feeling becomes less peaceful and more emotional and dependent. Another relatable example is thinking about someone all day. In both love and attachment, this can happen. When we care about someone, it is natural to think about them. But the reason behind those thoughts matters. Are you thinking about them because you care and appreciate them? Or are you thinking about them because you feel afraid, anxious, or emotionally dependent? This is why love and attachment can feel so confusing. On the outside, they can sometimes look very similar. Both involve caring, both involve emotions, both involve connection. But deep inside, the feeling is often different. Love usually feels calmer, safer, and more peaceful. Attachment often brings more fear, worry, and emotional pressure. And please remember, becoming confused is completely normal. Many people spend years trying to understand their emotions. Sometimes, we only understand the difference after life teaches us important lessons. The goal is not to blame ourselves. The goal is simply to understand ourselves better. Because when we understand our feelings clearly, we can build healthier relationships, make wiser choices, and experience love in a healthier and more peaceful way. Main differences between love and attachment. Now we come to one of the most important parts of today's episode. We have already talked about what love is, what attachment is, and why they can sometimes feel similar. But now let us ask a very important question. What is the real difference between love and attachment? At first, love and attachment can look almost the same. Both can make us care deeply about someone. Both can create strong emotions. Both can make us miss someone and want them close to us. But when we look more carefully, we begin to see something important. The feeling inside love is usually very different from the feeling inside attachment. Let us begin with love. One of the biggest signs of healthy love is freedom. Real love gives people space to be themselves. Love does not try to control every action, every friendship, or every choice. Instead, love understands that every person is an individual with their own dreams, interests, and life. For example, imagine someone you care about wants to spend time with friends, work on a personal goal, or follow a dream. Love says, "I support you." Love says, "I want you to grow and become happy." Even if you miss them sometimes, you still respect their journey. Healthy love understands that caring about someone does not mean controlling them. Attachment can feel very different. Attachment often fears losing someone. Because of this fear, people may become controlling without even realizing it. They may want constant attention, constant messages, or constant reassurance. Instead of feeling secure, they may feel worried all the time. Attachment quietly says, "I am afraid to lose you." Love quietly says, "I want you to grow." This difference is very important. Another big difference is trust. Healthy love builds trust. Trust means believing in someone and feeling emotionally safe. In healthy love, there is respect and confidence in the relationship. You do not constantly feel afraid that the person will leave or stop caring. Of course, nobody is perfect, and sometimes people still feel insecure. That is normal. But overall, healthy love creates peace. You feel calmer inside. You feel safe enough to be yourself. Love says, "I trust you." Attachment often says, "I need constant reassurance." For example, in attachment, a person may always need proof that they are loved. They may need frequent messages, constant attention, or repeated emotional reassurance just to feel okay. If the other person becomes busy or quiet for a short time, fear may quickly appear. Another important difference is boundaries. Healthy love respects boundaries. Boundaries simply mean respecting another person's personal space, feelings, and needs. In love, people understand that everyone sometimes needs rest, personal time, or space to focus on themselves. For example, if someone says, "I need some quiet time today," healthy love understands this without feeling deeply threatened. Love respects limits and understands that personal space does not mean rejection. Attachment can struggle with boundaries because emotional dependence feels very strong. A person may feel hurt or worried when the other person wants space. Sometimes they may think, "Why do they not want to spend time with me?" Or, "Maybe they do not care anymore." Fear often becomes stronger than understanding. Another difference is how the relationship feels emotionally. Healthy love often feels peaceful. This does not mean there are never problems or disagreements. Every relationship has challenges. But deep inside, love often feels safe, calm, and emotionally steady. You feel respected. You feel supported. You feel accepted. Attachment, however, can sometimes feel stressful and emotionally exhausting. One moment you feel very happy, and the next moment you feel worried, anxious, or afraid. Your emotional peace may depend too much on another person's actions. If they reply quickly, you feel happy. If they become distant, you feel emotionally lost. If they are busy, you feel worried. This emotional dependence can become painful over time. Another beautiful quality of healthy love is growth. Love helps people become better versions of themselves. Healthy love encourages dreams, learning, healing, and self-improvement. When someone truly loves you, they usually want to see you succeed. Love says, "I want you to become stronger." Love says, "I believe in you." Love helps people grow together instead of holding each other back. Attachment often comes more from emotional need. Instead of growth, the focus sometimes becomes emotional comfort and fear of separation. A person may begin depending too much on someone else for happiness, confidence, or emotional peace. And finally, healthy love accepts imperfections. Nobody is perfect. Every person makes mistakes. In love, people understand this. They try to communicate, forgive, and grow together. Love does not expect perfection. Love understands human weakness. Love accepts that people have flaws. Attachment, however, can sometimes create unrealistic expectations because fear becomes very strong. So, if we explain the difference in one very simple way, we can say this: love feels peaceful, trusting, respectful, and freeing. Attachment often feels fearful, dependent, stressful, and emotionally heavy. Love says, "I care about your happiness." Attachment says, "I need you to make me happy." And understanding this difference can completely change how we see relationships, because sometimes what we call love may actually be fear, emotional need, or attachment without us even realizing it. Signs that you may be feeling attachment instead of love. Now, after talking about the differences between love and attachment, this may be a good moment to pause and ask ourselves an honest question. What am I really feeling? Is it healthy love? Or could it be attachment? And before we continue, I want to say something important. If you recognize some of these signs in yourself, please do not judge yourself or feel ashamed. This does not mean you are a bad person. It does not mean something is wrong with you. It simply means you may be emotionally hurt, emotionally dependent, or in need of healing and self-understanding. And that is completely human. Sometimes we do not even realize we are attached to someone because emotions can feel very strong. But asking ourselves honest questions can help us understand our feelings better. Let me ask you something. Do you feel an extreme fear of losing someone? Of course, nobody wants to lose people they love. Missing people and caring deeply is natural. But attachment often brings a stronger kind of fear. It can feel overwhelming. Maybe you constantly worry that someone will leave you. Maybe small things make you anxious. For example, if they reply late to a message, suddenly your mind becomes full of fear. You start overthinking. You ask yourself, did I say something wrong? Or maybe they do not care anymore. When fear becomes stronger than peace, it may be a sign of attachment. Another important question is this: do you depend on one person for your happiness? Think about this honestly. Do you feel emotionally okay only when that person gives you attention? Does your mood completely change depending on how they treat you? Maybe when they are kind, you feel very happy. But when they are distant or busy, you suddenly feel sad, empty, or emotionally lost. Healthy love brings happiness, of course. But healthy love does not make your entire emotional world depend on one person. In healthy relationships, people still have their own goals, interests, friendships, and inner emotional strength. Let us think about another sign. Do you feel jealous very often? Jealousy is a normal human emotion sometimes. Everyone feels insecure now and then. But attachment may create stronger and more frequent jealousy. Maybe you feel uncomfortable when someone spends time with other people. Maybe you worry when they talk to someone else. Maybe deep inside, there is a fear of being replaced or forgotten. Sometimes, attachment quietly whispers, "What if they stop choosing me?" That fear can become emotionally exhausting. Here is another gentle question to think about. Do you feel empty without them? Of course, missing someone is normal. Missing people is part of caring. But attachment sometimes creates a deeper emotional emptiness. You may feel like life has no meaning without that person. You may stop enjoying activities, hobbies, or even time with friends because your happiness feels connected only to one person. And finally, ask yourself this honestly. Do you try to control them? This can be difficult to admit, but it is important to think about kindly and honestly. Sometimes control does not look obvious. It may happen quietly. Maybe you want to know where they are all the time. Maybe you feel upset when they spend time with others. Maybe you become hurt when they want personal space. Usually, this control does not come from being a bad person. It often comes from fear. Fear of losing someone. Fear of loneliness. Fear of not feeling important. And if you see some of these signs in yourself, please remember this. Awareness is not something negative. Awareness is actually the beginning of growth. Understanding our emotions helps us become healthier, stronger, and more peaceful inside. You do not need to blame yourself. You only need to ask yourself kindly, what is my heart trying to tell me? Because sometimes emotional healing begins with simple honesty and self-understanding. Signs of healthy love. Now that we have talked about attachment and some signs that may come with it, let us move towards something positive and hopeful. Let us talk about what healthy love actually looks like. Sometimes people grow up seeing unhealthy relationships around them. Sometimes movies, social media, or difficult life experiences can create confusion about love. Some people think love must always feel dramatic, stressful, or emotionally painful. But healthy love usually feels very different. Healthy love often feels calmer, safer, and more peaceful. So, what does healthy love really look like? One of the biggest signs of healthy love is respect. Respect means treating another person kindly and valuing their feelings, opinions, and personal choices. In healthy love, people do not try to change each other completely or control every part of life. Instead, they accept each other as human beings with strengths, weaknesses, dreams, and emotions. For example, imagine your partner, friend, or family member needs personal time. Maybe they want to relax, focus on work, study, or spend some time alone. Healthy love respects this. Instead of becoming angry or emotionally hurt immediately, healthy love understands that personal space is normal and healthy. Another beautiful sign of healthy love is trust. Trust creates emotional peace. When trust exists, people do not constantly feel suspicious, worried, or afraid. Of course, trust takes time to build, but healthy relationships slowly grow stronger because both people try to be honest and dependable. Imagine this simple example. Someone you care about becomes busy for a few hours and cannot reply quickly. In healthy love, you may miss them, but deep inside, you still feel calm. You trust them. You understand that life can sometimes be busy. Healthy love also includes honest communication. This means people talk openly and kindly about their feelings, problems, and needs. Instead of hiding emotions or becoming cold and distant, healthy love encourages honest conversations. For example, if something hurts your feelings, healthy communication means calmly saying, "I felt sad when this happened," instead of becoming angry or staying silent for days. In healthy relationships, problems are not ignored. People try to understand each other and solve challenges together. And speaking of problems, here is something very important to remember. Healthy love does not mean a relationship without disagreements. Every relationship has difficult moments. The difference is how problems are handled. Healthy love tries to solve problems calmly. Instead of shouting, blaming, or hurting each other emotionally, people try to listen, understand, and find solutions. They may disagree, but they still treat each other with kindness and respect. Another important part of healthy love is emotional support. Life is not always easy. Everyone faces difficult moments, failures, sadness, and stress. Healthy love means being there for each other during hard times. It means encouraging someone when they feel weak. It means saying, "I believe in you," when life feels difficult. For example, imagine someone you love has a dream. Maybe they want to start a new job, learn a skill, study something new, or follow an important goal. Healthy love supports growth. Instead of holding them back, healthy love encourages them. Healthy love says, "Go for your dream. I believe in you." Another beautiful sign of healthy love is independence. This is very important to understand. Healthy love does not mean losing yourself. It does not mean giving up your personality, dreams, friendships, or interests. Healthy relationships allow both people to grow as individuals. You can love someone deeply and still enjoy your own hobbies, personal goals, and friendships. Healthy love creates connection, but it also gives space to grow. And finally, healthy love often feels like a peaceful connection. It feels emotionally safe. You do not constantly feel afraid, anxious, or emotionally exhausted. You feel accepted. You feel respected. You feel comfortable being yourself. You do not have to pretend. You do not have to live in constant fear. You can simply be yourself. So, if we explain healthy love in one simple way, we can say this: healthy love includes respect, trust, honest communication, emotional support, independence, and peace. It helps people grow, feel safe, and become better versions of themselves. And perhaps one of the most beautiful things about healthy love is this: healthy love does not trap people. It helps them grow together. Why people become emotionally attached. Now, after talking about healthy love and attachment, there is another important question we should ask ourselves. Why do people become emotionally attached in the first place? This is a very important question because understanding why we feel something can help us understand ourselves better. And before we continue, I want to remind you of something important. If you feel emotionally attached to someone, please do not be hard on yourself. Many people experience attachment. It is very normal and very human. You are not alone. Sometimes emotional attachment grows because of a fear of loneliness. Many people are afraid of being alone. And honestly, this fear is understandable. Human beings naturally want connection, care, and emotional closeness. We all want people who listen to us, support us, and make us feel important. But sometimes, the fear of loneliness becomes very strong. A person may begin feeling that being alone means being unhappy. Because of this fear, they may become emotionally dependent on someone. They may hold on very tightly because deep inside, they are scared of losing that connection. Sometimes attachment also comes from past pain. Maybe someone was hurt in the past. Maybe someone they trusted left them, disappointed them, or broke their heart. Painful experiences can leave emotional scars, and without even realizing it, a person may begin holding on more tightly in future relationships because they are afraid of being hurt again. For example, if someone experienced rejection before, they may constantly worry, "What if this person leaves me too?" Even when things are going well, fear from the past may quietly stay in their heart. Another reason people become emotionally attached is low self-confidence. Sometimes people do not feel good about themselves. Maybe deep inside, they do not feel confident, valuable, or enough. Because of this, they may begin depending on another person's attention or love to feel important. For example, when someone gives them affection or care, they feel happy and worthy. But when that attention becomes less, they suddenly feel insecure again. Slowly, their emotional peace becomes connected to another person instead of growing from inside themselves. This also connects to something called emotional insecurity. Emotional insecurity means feeling uncertain, worried, or emotionally unsafe inside. Sometimes people fear rejection. Sometimes they fear abandonment. Sometimes they worry too much about whether people truly care about them. Because of these fears, attachment can grow stronger. A person may seek constant reassurance. They may want repeated proof of love, attention, or care, because deep inside, they are trying to feel emotionally safe. Sometimes emotional attachment even comes from childhood experiences. The experiences we have when we are young can affect us more than we realize. For example, if someone did not receive enough emotional care, attention, or safety while growing up, they may later search for those feelings very strongly in relationships. This does not mean something is wrong with them. It simply means some emotional needs may still feel very important inside their heart. And finally, another important reason is a lack of self-love. Sometimes people care deeply for others, but forget to care for themselves. They may not spend time understanding themselves, respecting themselves, or building confidence from within. Because of this, they may expect another person to fill emotional emptiness. But here is something important to remember. No person can fully complete us emotionally. Healthy relationships can bring love, happiness, and support, but emotional strength also grows from inside ourselves. And if you recognize some of these reasons in yourself, please be gentle with yourself. This is not about blame. It is about understanding. Sometimes emotional attachment is simply a sign that a person needs healing, confidence, safety, or more kindness toward themselves. And the beautiful thing is this: when we understand ourselves better, we also begin learning how to build healthier, more peaceful, and more loving relationships in the future. How to turn attachment into healthy love. Now comes a very important question. After everything we have talked about today, you may be wondering, can emotional attachment change? Can attachment become healthier love? The answer is yes. Change is possible. But change usually does not happen in one day. It happens slowly, through small steps, patience, and self-understanding. The good news is that emotional attachment does not mean you are broken or unable to love in a healthy way. It simply means there may be some emotional areas in life that need more care, confidence, and healing. One of the first and most important steps is to build self-confidence. When people feel confident inside themselves, they usually become less emotionally dependent on others. Self-confidence means believing that you are valuable, important, and worthy, even when someone is not constantly giving you attention. Ask yourself simple questions like, what are my strengths? What am I good at? What makes me proud of myself? Try to celebrate small successes in life. Maybe you learned something new. Maybe you solved a problem. Maybe you stayed strong during a difficult moment. Small wins matter because confidence grows little by little. Another important step is learning to enjoy time alone. For many people, being alone feels uncomfortable at first. But being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Spending peaceful time with yourself can actually help you grow emotionally stronger. You can go for a walk, listen to music, read, relax, watch something inspiring, or simply sit quietly and think. When you learn to enjoy your own company, you slowly stop depending too much on one person for emotional peace. It is also very important to create healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries mean understanding that every person needs personal space, time, and independence. Love becomes healthier when people respect each other's emotional needs. For example, if someone you care about is busy or needs personal time, try to remind yourself that space does not always mean rejection. Sometimes people simply need time for work, family, rest, or personal growth. Another powerful step is to communicate honestly. Instead of hiding emotions or expecting people to read your mind, try speaking honestly and calmly. If something makes you feel worried or insecure, express it respectfully. Healthy communication sounds like this: I have been feeling worried lately, instead of blaming or becoming angry. Honest conversations often create stronger and healthier relationships. You should also try to focus on personal growth. One of the best ways to reduce unhealthy attachment is to build a life that feels meaningful outside of one relationship. Ask yourself, what dreams do I have? What skills do I want to learn? What goals matter to me? When your life includes learning, growth, hobbies, friendships, and personal goals, emotional balance becomes stronger. This is also why it is important to stop depending on one person for happiness. Of course, relationships bring joy, support, and comfort. But your entire happiness should not live inside another person. Happiness can also come from friendships, learning, work, hobbies, peaceful moments, and personal achievements. Healthy love says, I care about you deeply, but I also have my own emotional strength. And perhaps one of the most important things is to practice self-love. Self-love means treating yourself with kindness. It means speaking to yourself gently instead of criticizing yourself all the time. It means understanding that you deserve care too. Simple daily habits can also help a lot. For example, try journaling. Writing your thoughts and emotions in a notebook can help you understand yourself better. Spend time with friends and family, because healthy relationships outside of one person matter too. Try learning new skills. Maybe improve your English, start a hobby, read books, or learn something exciting. Growth builds confidence. And very importantly, take care of your mental health. Rest when needed. Protect your peace. Talk to supportive people. Give yourself patience. Remember this: healthy love grows when healthy people grow. And sometimes, the journey from attachment to healthy love begins with one simple step: learning how to care for yourself a little more each day. Real-life examples and small stories. Now, let's make this topic even more clear by looking at some real-life situations. Sometimes, we understand emotions better when we see them in simple stories from everyday life. So, let's imagine two small examples. One example shows healthy love, and the other shows attachment. In the first story, imagine a young woman and her close friend. They care about each other very much. They talk often, share their feelings, and support each other during difficult times. But they also respect each other's personal lives. One day, the friend becomes busy with studies and cannot reply quickly. The young woman misses her friend, of course, but she does not panic or feel afraid. She simply thinks, my friend is busy right now. I trust them. I will talk to them later. She continues her day, focuses on her own goals, and feels calm inside. When they finally talk again, there is happiness and warmth. They share their experiences, laugh together, and support each other. Their connection feels peaceful. There is no pressure, no fear, and no control. This is an example of healthy love. It feels stable, trusting, and emotionally safe. Even when they are apart, there is still peace inside. Now let's look at another story, where attachment is stronger. Imagine another person in a similar situation. He also cares deeply about someone. But in this case, when the other person does not reply quickly, he starts to feel nervous. He checks his phone again and again. He begins to think, why are they not replying? Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest in me? His mind becomes full of worry, even though nothing bad has actually happened. As time passes, his anxiety grows. He feels uncomfortable when the other person spends time with friends or becomes busy. He starts needing constant messages and attention to feel emotionally okay. When he gets attention, he feels happy for a moment, but when it stops, he feels empty again. This is what attachment often feels like. It creates emotional ups and downs. Happiness depends too much on the other person's behavior. Instead of feeling peaceful, the heart feels restless, anxious, and uncertain. When we compare these two stories, the difference becomes clearer. In healthy love, there is trust even when there is distance. There is peace even when there is silence. There is understanding even when people are busy with their own lives. But in attachment, silence can feel scary, distance can feel painful, and independence can feel like rejection. Healthy love allows two people to grow as individuals while staying connected emotionally. Attachment, however, often makes one person feel like their emotional stability depends on the other person's presence all the time. And it is important to remember that both stories are very human. Many people go through both types of experiences in life. Sometimes we feel peaceful and secure in relationships, and other times we may feel anxious or dependent. These feelings are part of being human and learning about emotions. The goal is not to judge ourselves, but to understand ourselves better. Because when we start noticing how we feel in real situations, we slowly learn the difference between fear and love, between dependency and connection, and between emotional stress and emotional peace. And that awareness is a very powerful step toward building healthier relationships in the future. Now we are coming to the end of today's episode, and before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts that are very important. If you are still feeling a little confused about love and attachment, that is completely okay. In fact, it is very normal. Many people spend a long time trying to understand their emotions. Feelings are not always simple. Sometimes the heart feels something, but the mind cannot fully explain it. So if you are still learning, still thinking, or still questioning your feelings, please be kind to yourself. Learning the difference between love and attachment is not something that happens in one moment. It is a journey. It takes time, experience, reflection, and emotional growth. Sometimes we understand these things after going through different relationships or life experiences. Sometimes we understand them slowly, step by step, as we become more aware of ourselves. But here is something very important to remember. Healthy love always begins with self-love. When you learn how to respect yourself, understand yourself, and care for your own emotional needs, you naturally start to see relationships more clearly. You stop depending too much on fear. You stop accepting emotional pain as normal. And slowly, you begin to understand what feels peaceful and what feels stressful in your heart. You deserve relationships that feel calm, respectful, and supportive. You deserve to feel emotionally safe. You deserve love that helps you grow, not love that makes you feel trapped, anxious, or afraid. Real love does not make you feel smaller. Real love helps you become stronger. And even if you have experienced attachment in the past, please remember this: growth is always possible. People can change. Emotions can become healthier. Relationships can improve. And most importantly, you can learn how to build a more peaceful emotional life, step by step. Every small moment of awareness is a step forward. Every time you ask yourself, "How do I really feel?" you are growing. Every time you choose self-respect, honesty, and emotional balance, you are moving closer to healthier love. So never feel stuck in one place. You are always capable of change, understanding, and emotional healing. Now, as we gently close today's episode, I want to take a moment to thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening to this podcast on Code Your English. It truly means a lot that you spent your time here, learning and reflecting with me. I hope this episode helped you not only understand English better, but also understand yourself a little more deeply. Take a moment after this episode to reflect on your own relationships and emotions, not to judge yourself, but simply to understand your heart more clearly. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to listen again. Sometimes, listening a second time helps you catch new ideas and improve your English listening skills even more. You can also practice speaking by repeating simple lines and ideas from this podcast. This will help you improve both your English and your confidence. And, of course, I would love to see you again in the next episode. There are many more topics coming that will help you improve your English and also learn important life lessons in a simple and meaningful way. Until then, take care of yourself, be kind to your heart, and keep learning step by step. Goodbye for now, and see you soon on Code Your English.